Welcome back, listeners. We're about to take a deep dive into self-discipline, exploring the science of self-discipline by Peter
Oh
Hollins.
yeah, this one's gonna be fun.
I'm really curious to get into what really makes self-discipline work.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
is it all about just willpower, or is there something kind of deeper going on there?
Yeah.
We'll uncover things like why we hit that wall sometimes,
Yeah.
that willpower fatigue.
Yep.
And we're even going to get into this surprising fact. Chimpanzees, in certain situations, actually show more self-control than us humans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's wild. We're going to uncover tactics like the 40% rule used by Navy SEALs. We'll look at how eating veggies first can totally change how you approach your goals. And we'll even get into some design tricks to make your environment work for you. Let's dive in.
Yeah, what really intrigues me about this book is how it takes this kind of mysterious concept of self-discipline and breaks it down.
Right.
It moves past those vague ideas and gets into the actual biology behind it, makes it clear that anyone can actually cultivate this skill.
That's so important, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm just not a disciplined person.
Absolutely.
But like you said, it is something that you can build. And the idea of neuroplasticity is key here, right? Like the
It's
brain can actually change, it can adapt. So that means self-discipline really is a skill you can hone.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to look at how this connects to specific parts of the brain.
For sure. Well, the prefrontal cortex is like the command center for decision making, right?
Oh, God.
So it's a major player here.
Makes sense.
But then you've also got the ventral striatum.
Okay.
This is an area that's linked to addiction.
hmm
And that's really interesting because it suggests that getting good at self-discipline might involve rewiring those reward pathways that we usually associate with bad habits.
Oh, wow. That's super fascinating. I can actually relate to this firsthand from my own weight loss journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because seeing those results, it really proved to me that I could actually change and adapt, and that was so empowering.
That's great.
It makes me think, are there areas in your life where you might be underestimating your own potential to change?
That's such a good question. I think we often put these limits on ourselves with these beliefs about what we can and can't do.
Yes.
And this book, I think it really challenges those assumptions.
Mhm.
It emphasizes that we can reshape our capabilities through consistent effort.
Love that. Okay, let's switch gears a bit to motivation, because that's really the engine that drives us, right?
Yeah.
And the book challenges this idea that money is like the ultimate motivator.
hmm
It says that the feeling of making progress towards a meaningful goal is way more powerful.
Oh, I love that.
So what actually fuels that sense of progress?
So it's something called intrinsic motivation. It's the drive that comes from within. And the book pinpoints three key intrinsic motivators: autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Hmm.
So autonomy is all about having control. Mastery involves getting better at something you enjoy. And purpose is about connecting your efforts to a larger meaning.
I love how those three work together.
Yeah.
And, you know, think about it like building a Lego set.
Okay.
Someone with the freedom to create their own design is going to be way more engaged than someone just following strict instructions, right?
Nice.
That's autonomy in action.
Exactly. That sense of ownership and being able to create, like you said, it really ignites that intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Mastery comes from the satisfaction of refining your skills,
Uh-huh.
and then purpose that links your work to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
It fuels that dedication that goes beyond just a simple reward.
So the big question here is, which of those motivators really resonates with you, and how can you use that to reach your goals?
It seems like it's all about a journey of self-discovery.
Moving away from chasing validation from other people and tapping into those internal well springs of motivation.
Absolutely. It's so true. We often get caught up in this cycle of trying to get validation from others
Right.
when the strongest kind of motivation is already inside us.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into those pesky temptations that try to sabotage our efforts. How do we beat those moments of weakness and stay on track?
The book actually has a really cool approach called urge surfing. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
Okay, so instead of trying to fight urges head on, which can actually backfire and make them stronger, you learn to ride them like a wave. You just observe them without judging yourself, and then you wait until they pass.
That sounds kind of counterintuitive, though, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't resisting an urge actually make our willpower stronger?
Well, it seems like it would, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Fighting cravings just makes them more intense and leaves you feeling totally powerless. Think about it like trying to stop a waterfall with your bare hands.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
all that force is just going to come right back at you, right?
Right.
But if you step back and observe it, you allow it to flow naturally. So with urge surfing, you're encouraged to just observe that urge.
Yeah.
Notice what's happening physically.
Right.
Notice the thoughts, the emotions that come up. But don't engage with it. Just let it wash over you and fade away on its own.
It's almost like acknowledging it, right?
Yeah,
But not giving it power over your actions.
exactly. The key is to separate yourself from that urge, to realize it's just a passing thing, It's not a core part of who you are.
So you're basically studying the urge like a scientist.
Exact.
I'm really curious to try this out. Have you found that this actually works?
It can be surprisingly effective. You'll be amazed at how quickly an urge can lose its grip when you just observe it and don't try to fight it.
Wow. Okay. Now let's talk about pushing past those limits we set for ourselves. Those times when we think we're done, but we might actually have more to give.
Yeah, that's where the 40% rule comes in.
I've heard about this.
It's a concept that Navy SEALs use a lot.
Yeah.
Their training teaches them that when your mind is telling you you're finished, you've actually only used about 40% of your true potential.
So it's about building that mental toughness, right?
It is.
Like overriding that little voice that's saying, I can't do anymore.
Exactly. This rule forces you to go beyond those boundaries you set for yourself.
It's powerful.
You've probably experienced this in your own life,
Mhm.
like when you're working out and you hit that point where you want to quit,
Oh, yeah.
but you push yourself to do a few more reps and then realize, hey, I had more in me than I thought.
And that feeling is so awesome when you exceed your own expectations.
It is, and it actually aligns with the placebo effect.
Yeah.
The science that shows our beliefs can actually impact our performance.
I love that.
Convincing yourself you can do something often unlocks this hidden potential you didn't even know you had.
I think this brings up a good question. What limiting beliefs might we be holding on to that are stopping us from doing even more?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one to think about. We tend to underestimate what we're capable of. But if we have the right mindset, we can achieve so much more than we think is possible. It really is. And actually, speaking of reaching our full potential, let's get into how our surroundings affect our self-discipline. It's pretty amazing how our environment can either help or hurt our resolve.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Like a chaotic environment, it can drain your energy and make it harder to focus. But when you're in a place that's organized and supportive, it's easier to stay on track, right?
Exactly. The book talks about how even little changes in your surroundings can make a big difference, like creating a workspace that's free of clutter, that can minimize those distractions and those tempting online rabbit holes.
I feel that. A clean desk definitely helps me concentrate better and avoid getting sucked into social media or websites that aren't relevant to what I'm doing.
Right. The goal is to reduce those dopamine spikes that pull us away from our goals. Another strategy that's super effective is optimizing your default choices. It's about making the healthiest or most productive option the easiest one to choose.
Oh, that's smart. So instead of relying on willpower alone, you're basically setting yourself up for success from the start.
Exactly. You're using your natural tendencies to make it almost effortless to make the right choice. A good example is those countries that have opt-out organ donation systems.
Oh, right.
They have way higher participation rates because the default action is the one that aligns with what's best.
So it's like we're using the power of inertia to help us reach our goals, almost.
Exactly. By designing your environment to make healthy choices the path of least resistance, you're setting yourself up for success without having to rely solely on willpower.
It's amazing how these subtle tweaks to our surroundings can have such a huge impact on our behavior. Okay, let's talk about the role of relationships in our quest for self-discipline. Social dynamics can be surprisingly powerful in either supporting or hindering our progress.
It's funny. We often think of self-discipline as this solo mission, but the people around us can really make a difference. This book talks about these fascinating Ash conformity experiments.
I think I've heard of those.
Yeah, they showed how easily social pressure can influence our decisions, even when we know something's not right.
That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah.
Makes you realize how susceptible we are to groupthink, even if it goes against our values.
It really is a reminder that we're wired to want to fit in,
Yeah.
even if it means compromising what we believe in. Another interesting thing they found is that telling everyone about your goals can sometimes actually backfire.
Oh, wow. Really? I always thought sharing your goals with others would keep you accountable.
Well, that's the idea, but research suggests that sharing them too early can make you feel like you've already accomplished something just by talking about it.
Huh. So, Is it better to focus on actually making progress before you go announcing your intentions?
Definitely. It's better to channel that energy into concrete steps that move you closer to your goals rather than seeking validation from others. And this is where having a good accountability partner can be really valuable.
You mean someone who can support you and offer encouragement without giving you premature praise.
Exactly. So instead of telling the whole world about your goals, find a close friend you trust and ask them to help you stay accountable throughout the process. Having that support can make a world of difference.
It's like having a teammate who gets what you're trying to achieve and helps you navigate the obstacles along the way.
Exactly. And it's incredibly motivating to have someone who believes in you and helps you stay focused. Now, let's talk about delayed gratification. This is a key element in achieving long-term goals.
Okay, I'm ready.
This book really emphasizes the importance of choosing to do the hard stuff first, with the understanding that the rewards will come later. It's a foundational principle for building self-discipline.
It's like that saying, eat your vegetables first, right?
Exactly.
The idea is that by tackling the hardest things first, everything else seems easier.
That's the idea. It's all about training your mind to prioritize long-term gains over instant gratification.
Right.
You remember that Stanford marshmallow experiment? The kids who could resist eating the marshmallow right away so they could get two later on, they showed more self-control and actually ended up being more successful in life.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's not just about willpower in the moment.
Nope.
It's about developing a mindset that values long-term rewards.
That's it. It's about developing the ability to resist immediate gratification in favor of pursuing something more meaningful and lasting. This principle can be applied to so many areas of our lives.
Yeah, I can see that. Like choosing to finish that work project before binge watching your favorite show or doing the toughest exercises first to build mental resilience.
Exactly. It's about flipping the script, facing those tough tasks head on, and then enjoying the rewards that come after. It's a super effective way to develop mental toughness and get lasting results. Speaking of long-term vision, let's talk about connecting with our future selves. It's so interesting how our brains see our future selves almost as strangers. It's amazing, right? This emotional disconnect can make it hard to prioritize our long-term well-being over those short-term desires we have.
It's almost like our brains can't quite grasp the fact that we'll eventually become those future selves.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to bridge that gap to make our future selves feel more real to us. The book suggests a few ways to do this. One is visualization, creating a clear mental picture of your future self.
So we're talking about actually closing your eyes and picturing yourself years down the line.
Yes.
Like imagining who you want to be and what you want to have accomplished.
Exactly. Imagine yourself 5, 10, even 20 years from now. What does your life look like? What goals have you achieved? What are you most grateful for?
It's like creating a movie in your mind, a sneak peek into a future where you've made choices that align with your values and your dreams.
Exactly. And the more vivid and detailed that picture is, the stronger your connection to that future self will be.
It's almost like sending a message to your future self.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
reassuring them that you're working towards those goals, that you're on the right path.
That's a great way to put it. Another really powerful technique is writing a letter to your future self. Pour your heart into it, talk about your dreams and aspirations, and explain why those goals matter so much to you.
It's like making a promise to the person you want to become.
And when those temptations come knocking, go back and read that letter. It will remind you of the big picture, the reason behind all your effort. I love that. It's like getting guidance and encouragement from the wisest, most supportive version of yourself. Now, for a little extra motivation, the book suggests considering the potential cost of inaction.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That sounds a little intense, though. What do you mean by cost?
Think about what your life might be like years from now if you give up on your goals.
Okay, yeah.
What opportunities might you miss out on? What regrets could you be carrying? How could your health, relationships, or finances be negatively impacted?
Whoa, that's a powerful reality check. It's like a glimpse into a potential future that you definitely want to avoid.
And often, the pain of inaction can be even worse than the discomfort of discipline.
Right.
This realization can be a huge motivator to keep you going.
So it's not just about striving for what you want to achieve.
Right.
It's also about preventing a future filled with regrets and missed opportunities.
Exactly. When you recognize the potential consequences of not taking action, it can fuel your determination to stay focused on your goals. Now let's shift gears a bit and address those pesky bad habits. Oh yeah, those are tough.
Habits can be incredibly stubborn and often sabotage our best efforts. The book offers some insights into why these patterns are so hard to break. It turns out they're deeply rooted in a part of our brain called the basal ganglia.
That's the part of the brain that handles emotions, patterns, and memories, right?
Yeah, it's basically our autopilot system.
So habits bypass our conscious decision-making,
Okay.
which explains why they can feel so automatic and hard to change.
Exactly. It's as if our brains have created these shortcuts, these well-worn paths that we travel without even thinking about it.
Right, right. And when we try to break a habit, we're essentially trying to reroute those neural pathways, and that takes real effort.
It does. So it's not just about willpower, it's about rewiring your brain.
Wow. And the key is to replace those bad habits with good ones.
Yes, you can't just stop doing something. You have to fill that void with a healthier behavior.
So instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, you could pick up a book or go for a walk. It's about creating new, positive routines.
Exactly. The goal is to create those new grooves in your brain, replacing the undesirable patterns with healthier ones. The book recommends starting small. Don't try to change your whole life overnight. Just pick one habit you want to change and focus your energy there.
So set realistic goals, build momentum, and then gradually expand your self-control abilities.
You got it. It's a step-by-step process of building on those small wins. A helpful tip is to create a visual reminder of your new habit. It could be a sticky note on your mirror or a picture on your fridge, something that reinforces your intention throughout the day.
Like a little nudge, a visual cue to keep you going.
Exactly. And remember, forming new habits takes time and effort. Be patient with yourself, celebrate those little victories, and don't beat yourself up over setbacks. Discipline is a journey, not a finish line.
I love that perspective. It's about progress, not perfection. And speaking of creating an environment that supports our progress, let's circle back to that.
Absolutely. Our surroundings are crucial to our success. One of the most effective strategies is optimizing our default choices.
Right, making the healthy, productive choice the easiest one to go for.
Remember that statistic about organ donation rates being higher in countries with opt-out systems?
Yep.
When the default choice aligns with our desired outcome, we're much more likely to make that choice.
It's like using inertia to our advantage. We naturally go for what's easiest, so why not make that easy path lead to something positive?
Here's a practical example. If you're trying to eat healthier, don't stock your pantry with junk food. Instead, fill your fridge with pre-cut fruits and veggies, making them the easiest things to grab.
It's like you're removing temptation from the equation altogether.
Exactly.
You're making it easier to make healthy choices without even having to think about it.
And this principle works in other areas too. If you want to read more, keep a book by your bed. If you want to exercise regularly, lay out your workout clothes the night before.
It's all about setting up your environment in a way that almost guarantees success by making those desired actions effortless.
I love that. Okay, we've talked about pushing ourselves, setting up our environment and all that. But what about rest and recovery?
Oh, that's so important.
Wait, rest. I thought self-discipline was about constantly pushing yourself, never giving up.
That's a common misconception. The truth is we can't operate at 100% all the time. Our minds and bodies need time to recharge.
So it's about finding a balance between effort and recovery, a rhythm that's sustainable.
Exactly. It's like running a marathon. Runners don't sprint the whole race. They pace themselves, conserve their energy, and take breaks when they need to.
It's about playing the long game, knowing that sustainability is more important than those short bursts of intense effort.
And here's something cool. Studies have shown that rest can actually improve cognitive function, creativity, and problem-solving abilities.
So taking breaks isn't just about avoiding burnout.
Right.
It's actually a crucial part of performing at our best. Exactly. When we let our minds wander, when we disconnect from work for a while, we often come back with new ideas and renewed energy.
It's like those aha moments that happen when you're not even trying to solve a problem.
Exactly. So make sure you schedule in time for rest and recovery. Take regular breaks, get enough sleep, and do things that bring you joy and relaxation.
It's about being kind to yourself, recognizing that you have limits.
Absolutely.
And when we respect those limits, when we honor our need for rest, we actually boost our capacity for discipline over time.
It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? Okay, we've covered a lot today, from the science of self-discipline to the power of habits, from designing our environment to the importance of rest. So what are some of the key takeaways for our listeners?
Yeah, let's recap.
Well, the most important thing is to remember that self-discipline is a skill, not something you're born with. Anyone can learn and improve their self-control with the right information and strategies.
It's about embracing that growth mindset, believing that you can change and get better.
Absolutely. The second takeaway is that intrinsic motivation is key. Find your purpose, connect with your values, and let those internal drivers fuel your actions.
It's about finding that fire within, that passion that keeps you going even when things get tough.
The third takeaway is to remember how much your environment matters. Minimize distractions, make healthy choices the easiest ones, and surround yourself with people who support your goals.
It's about creating a world that nudges you towards success.
And the fourth takeaway, discipline is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate those small wins, and learn from your setbacks.
It's about progress, not perfection, recognizing that every step forward is a win.
And now I want to leave you with a challenge.
Okay, I'm game. What is it?
Pick one technique or strategy we talked about today and commit to using it in your life for the next week.
It's about putting these ideas into practice, seeing how they can actually change things for you.
Be specific. What habit do you want to change? What goal are you working towards? What small change can you make to your environment?
It's about moving from theory to action, seeing how self-discipline plays out in your everyday life.
Remember, even tiny changes, when you apply them consistently, can have a huge impact. You have the power to shape your life and become the person you want to be.
That's so inspiring. I'm definitely taking on this challenge.
Mm.
You.
Absolutely. I've really enjoyed exploring the nuances of self-discipline with you and our listeners today.
Now, as we promised, let's do a quick recap of the 10 key takeaways from our deep dive into the science of self-discipline. Ready?
Yep, let's break it down.
Takeaway number 1. Self-discipline is a skill, not a personality trait.
It's like a muscle you can strengthen with practice and consistent effort.
Takeaway number 2. Intrinsic motivation is the fuel that powers your actions. Connect with your why to stay motivated.
Find your purpose, tap into your passions, and let that drive you forward.
Takeaway number 3. Design your environment to make it easier to succeed. Minimize distractions and optimize your default choices to make positive decisions effortless.
Create a world that supports your goals, making it easier to do the right things.
Takeaway number 4. Urge surf to manage those temptations. Just observe them without judging yourself, and they'll often lose their grip on you.
It's like riding a wave. Don't struggle against it. Just ride it out until it fades away.
Takeaway number 5. Embrace the 40% rule. When your mind says you're done, you're probably only at 40% of your real capacity.
Push past those self-imposed limitations and discover the strength and resilience you have within you.
Takeaway number 6. Delay gratification to earn those long-term rewards. Do the hard things first, knowing that the good stuff will come later.
It's like eating your vegetables before dessert. Prioritize those long-term goals over immediate pleasure.
Takeaway number 7. Connect with your future self. Visualize the future you want. Write a letter to that future self, and really think about what it will cost you if you don't take action.
Make choices that honor the person you want to become.
Takeaway number 8. Ask yourself some tough questions when temptation strikes.
Remember those 4 emergency questions we discussed?
They're great for helping you stay focused and on track.
Takeaway number 9. Make sure you're resting and recovering. Taking breaks can actually improve how your brain works and prevent burnout.
Treat yourself with kindness and recognize that rest is essential for long-term discipline.
And finally, takeaway number 10. Put these insights into action.
Choose one thing from today's discussion and commit to trying it out in your life for the next week. Experience the power of self-discipline firsthand.
Wow, what a fantastic exploration of self-discipline. I'm feeling incredibly motivated to put these insights to work in my own life. How about you?
Me too. It's been great to dive into the science of self-discipline with you and our listeners.
That was awesome. I'm definitely feeling inspired to try out some of these techniques in my own life.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing how much we can learn about ourselves and our potential from diving into these books.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on one more interesting point from the book, the idea of eating your vegetables first.
That sounds kind of familiar. How does that tie into self-discipline? It's a metaphor for tackling those difficult tasks right away. The book suggests that when we face those tough things head-on, we're more likely to stick with it and achieve our goals.
Oh, right, like we were talking about with delayed gratification.
That's it. By choosing to do the hard stuff first, we strengthen our self-control and create this momentum that carries us forward. It's like setting ourselves up for success from the get-go.
I can see how that would apply to so many areas of life, like Choosing to exercise before settling in for a movie marathon or getting that big work project done before doing something fun.
Exactly. It's about shifting our priorities and tackling those crucial tasks that we often tend to procrastinate on.
So the takeaway here is to figure out what those vegetables are in our lives, those tasks we tend to avoid, and make a conscious effort to tackle them first.
You got it. It might not be easy at first, but that feeling of accomplishment and the momentum you build from getting it done can be a huge motivator.
This deep dive into self-discipline has been incredibly insightful. I'm leaving with a renewed sense of empowerment and a whole bunch of practical strategies I can actually use.
Me too. Just remember, self-discipline is a continuous journey. Embrace the process, try out different techniques, and figure out what works best for you.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to do the same. Explore these ideas, see what resonates with you, and embark on your own path towards greater self-mastery. Thanks for joining us today on The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time as we continue to unlock the secrets of knowledge and delve into the amazing world around us.